Good afternoon. My name is Anabel and I am an entertainer. As an entertainer, I am tasked with taking content that has already been created, making it my own, and presenting it to an audience. Never do I really have to consider whether or not the audience will like the content itself, but more so my performance. However, recently I've begun thinking about what the executives of not only theater but also film and TV must take into consideration when thinking about what content they're producing. What provoked this thought process was the reception to the TV show Dahmer Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. Objectively, Dahmer is a good show. It's well made. The acting is good, the sound is good, the visuals are all good. However, the reception was largely negative. While the ratings empirically are fine, you can find multiple reviews and video essays over how many people believe the content is unethical. Allegedly, the families of the victims of Jeffrey Dahmer were not contacted over the making of the show, and many people believe that the story is told through Jeffrey Dahmer's eyes rather than the victims, and this is an issue for many people. This was odd to me because most criticisms that I've seen of media have largely been centered around taking content that already exists and changing it in some way, whether that be censorship or a slight shift in story. However, it seemed to me like many people were calling for Dahmer to have not been made in the first place, or at least radically changed from what the final product was. Ryan Murphy, the creator of Dahmer, is also responsible for shows such as Glee, American Horror Story, and Scream Queens. His method and his style is normally centered around dealing with serious subject matters and portraying them in a sort of flamboyant or camp way. And so that doesn't really mesh well with the story of a notorious serial killer. This shift in focus from censorship and appropriateness into more ethical and moral criticisms is something that was really interesting to me. A large part of the reason why this shift may be occurring is because of the demographic changes in Generation Z. 48%, or almost half of Generation Z, identifies as a person of color. 1 in 6 identify as queer or transgender. This demographic shift is drastically different from many of the generations that executives have had to cater to in the past. Gen Z is calling for representation. Gen Z is calling for marginalized voices to be portrayed in the same way that privileged voices have been catered to in recent years. So this demographic shift means that when improper representation is featured, there's going to be backlash. For example, movies like Breakfast at Tiffany's and Thoroughly Modern Millie, which both feature a white person portraying an Asian person in a very offensive manner, wouldn't make it past the cutting room floor in today's day and age. Another factor is the influence of the internet. With the internet, consumers can effectively and efficiently push out their response to media almost like that. Because of this, it kind of creates a dynamic shift and a power shift in executives' minds. Instead of the question being, what story do I want to be told? It's, what story do consumers want to hear? We, as the consumer, sort of become this big brother, this critical eye, looming over executives, making sure that they don't do unethical business practices, improper representation, and things of the like. Ratings and reviews that come out almost immediately after a show or film is produced becomes the main focus for these executives. So what does that mean for the future of entertainment? It means that as a consumer base, we have much more of a voice than we have in the past. We have a way to immediately reach out to these executives and state our opinions and state what we want, and they have to listen. It means that we have a voice, and it means that we can advocate for what we want to see on our screens, whether that be the big screen or our phones. This shift is important because entertainment is so integral to the way that we live our lives and the way that we spend our free time. What I want to get across today is that entertainment is something that we can have a voice in. You deserve to be represented, and you deserve to be seen. Thank you.